And so, just wanted to say welcome to you all out there that are part of the community. You know, as we're sitting down here, as we're putting ourselves in a place and we're creating a more beautiful world for each other, and we're focusing into that ability inside of ourselves and inside of our mentalities, inside of our beings. We're asking ourselves those type of questions. What is it that we're vibrating, right? And what is it that we're vibrating through? And some of you might be going through some challenges today that only you can. You might be going through some stuff that nobody else really will for you. And we're here for you. And we're building that kind of a community. We're building a community where you are able to be yourself, where you're able to be who you are on the inside, and where people are there to uplift you and to bring you closer to your ability. And we seek out that on a daily. And that's the questions that I asked myself when I was in a hard time. And we all will have hard times. We will have times that we ask ourselves, is it possible? Is it possible to make it through these challenges? Is it possible for me to continue? Is it possible for me to be who I am on the inside, and who I truly want to be? And it is possible for you to put yourself in a place where your mentality starts to open up, where your ability starts to come from within you. And I sit here today with you all, and I'm on multiple networks, podcasts, YouTube, Facebooks, Periscopes, Twitters, Instagrams, and I look at how community has been building. I look at how you all have embraced this channel and these challenges, and I look at what it takes for us to be who we are on the inside. And I'm sitting here today, and I'm sitting here at this time, and I'm opening up a chat for us all to get together, for us all to spend a little bit of time inside and spend a little bit of time asking the questions that nobody else can for you. And it's really wonderful that you know that we have these type of technologies, that we have these type of places that we can sit down and to start to get into the mentality and get into the ability inside of ourselves, where we can start to believe in ourselves, and we can start to believe that it's worth it. And because you are worth it. The things that you've done in your lives and that you're doing in your life are worth it. And when you start to apply your mentality in that way, when you start to see that even though there's challenges, that you can overcome them, that you know I want to build a community of people that uplift each other, that are there to inspire each other, and that bring each other closer to who they are on the inside, and who they truly want to become. And so as we sit here today, as we sit here in this time, as we sit here in this peace within ourselves, are we doing that? What is it that you want to say to the world? What is it that if you could do anything, if you could become anything, if you could manifest anything, what would that anything be? You see what I'm saying? And so how do we use it? How do we start to build it in such a way that we mold it, that we have the ability inside of ourselves to achieve it, that we believe that we're worth it. And I want you to recognize that if you are going through challenges today, if you are in a place where you don't know if it's possible, if you're in a place where you're seeing things and you're not knowing if you can do them, if you can overcome them, if you could believe in yourself to that point. I want you to know that it is possible, and it definitely comes from within you. It comes from where you are inside of yourself, and it's not always going to be on day one that it's going to be perfect. Okay, it's not always going to be on day one that you're going to be able to achieve it. And Max out. Max go. It's not always going to be on day one that everything is going to work out. Like always, you're going to be starting something. You're going to be sitting down inside of yourself. You're going to be sitting down inside of your mentality. You're going to be asking yourself the types of questions. And so I wanted to build a network. I wanted to build a place where people could go to gain inspiration, where they could go to gain the ability inside of themselves, where we could start building a connection and having a place for us all to build a community, and building a place where the questions that we ask ourselves on a daily is, what I'm doing today, is it motivation, is it meditation, is it inspiration? If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. And I'm sitting down before you today. I'm sitting here in a place, opening up a network, opening up opportunity for you to be a part of this, to be a part of this movement, to be a part of this mentality. And I believe that when we are doing that, when we're becoming that person, where we're working on those types of challenges, that it becomes possible that when you are truly on your grind, when you're truly working on your things, and when you're truly putting yourself in a place where you're utilizing what you have inside, that it becomes worth it because you're worth it. And I've seen a lot of people lose their dreams. I've seen a lot of people lose their drive. I've seen people who didn't believe in themselves. I've seen people who saw less of who they are on the inside, who saw less of what their possibility could be. And I want you to see that you can achieve your dreams. And how can we start to achieve our dreams? How can we start to achieve our possibilities? How can we start to put ourselves in a place where we give ourselves that kind of permission, where we give ourselves that kind of challenge, where we are growing, and we're manifesting, and we're utilizing who we are on the inside? You see, a lot of the things that you might be going through today, the things that you might be facing off against, and the things that you might be asking yourself, what are those things that we all ask ourselves? You know what I'm saying? And it's inside of that place that it seeks. It's inside of that place that we could seek ourselves, that we can seek our ability, that we could start seeking our mentality. And I'm sitting here today, and I'm sitting in front of the camera, and if one person or 1 million people join the group, it's the same, because if that one person can yet but start to believe in themselves, if that one person can yet but start to believe in their ability, if they can start to believe in their mentality, if they can start to believe it's possible and that they're worth it, then this is worth it. I sit down often on a daily basis, and I sit down and I meditate, and I sit there and I do speeches, and I want to build that kind of a community where we start to create that kind of vibration, where we start to believe in ourselves, where we start to believe in our abilities, where what we have inside is worth it. And so here I am working on this again today, and I'm recognizing that it is worth it. That these challenges, these things that we're going through, these things that we're facing off against on a daily basis, they're worth it. That you're worth it. That the ability inside of ourselves to be who we are and to utilize that part of our being, to utilize that part of our focus, to utilize that part of our purpose, and we all are on a journey. We're here for this path. We're here for this thing that you're on, and have you embraced that part of yourself? Have you embraced that part of who you are? And have you sat down with yourself and started to ask those types of questions? And it's wonderful that we can do that. And so, you know, I'm sitting down before you today, and I'm creating a group for you, and we're building a network, and we're creating a movement, and it's a great thing being a part of this motivation, meditation, inspiration, And I ask those people out there, what is it that drives you? What is it that brings you closer to yourself? What is it that brings you closer to the ability inside of who you are? And it comes from within. It comes from the place where you see yourself. It's where you put yourself into that kind of positivity. It's when you're putting yourself into that kind of mentality, and that it comes from within, and that when we start to become positive, when we start to become who we are on the inside, when we start to become who we are on a daily, when we're using that kind of energy, what kind of energy are you using today? Like, what is it that you're doing that is bringing you closer to your blessings? What is it that you're doing that is bringing you closer to your ability? And it's right here that we focus. Okay, it's right here inside of ourselves that we start to build. It's right here inside of ourselves that we start to become. And how are we doing that today? What is it that you're focused into, my friends? What is it that you're focusing on? A lot of us have a lot of skills. Are we using those skills? Are we creating communities that allow us to utilize the parts inside of ourselves, and are we utilizing the parts inside of our being? Are we utilizing the focus that we have and that ability for us to overcome challenge? And you see, I sit here right now, I sit here in this time, I sit here on this day at 5:56 in front of you, and I'm telling you it's worth it. I'm telling you you're worth it. I'm telling you whatever challenges you're facing off against, they're not greater than you. Whatever things you are going through, you can overcome. I'm telling you that if you believe that it's possible for you to overcome challenges, then it is possible for you to overcome challenges. But it's when you start to create that kind of mentality, it's when you start to mold your ability, it's when you start to put yourself in a place where you believe in you. And so how do we build that kind of focus? How do we start to put ourselves in a place where we start believing in ourselves? How do we start putting ourselves in a place where we start to use our gifts and our skills and our abilities? And this is what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about when we focus to that point, when we truly sit down at that point in front of ourselves where we're willing to grind even when it's not easy. We're willing to focus even when other people don't know if it's possible. We're willing to sit inside of ourselves and to use what we have on the inside, and to sit down and truly use our gifts and truly use our talents and truly use our skills. And so what are some of the skills that you have? What are some of the things that you use to overcome challenge? What are they that you're seeking out inside of who you are? And it comes from that place inside. It comes from that place that nobody else is willing to go. And I sit here in front of you, and we're working on multiple networks. If there's not a way, we'll find a way. It's amazing that I have that opportunity to sit here in front of you today, and to bring a place of motivation to you, to bring a place of ability to you. And I look forward to doing this on a daily basis. I look forward to building a community. I look forward to working through mentality. And you're welcome to leave messages or comments, or ask questions on how to do meditation, how to sit inside of oneself and to use their gifts, and to focus to that place where what we have on the inside we can utilize. And so I'm sitting here and I'm using the skills that I have. And each of us have skills. We have things that we use and that we work with, and that what are the tools that you're using today? What are the things that you utilize, and how do you utilize your tools? How do you utilize your gifts? And it's inside of ourselves that we're seeking out focus and purpose and journey. And so I remember a time when I was going through challenges in the past, and I felt very alone, and I was in a place where I wanted to care for others more than myself. And I remember sitting inside of myself and sitting down with my mastery, and sitting down with the craft that I work with, which is breath work, which is energy work, which is called light working. And so as I sat down, as I sat down inside, as I sat down and I started working on it, I started to observe. I started to sit down and to start to breathe, and to sit down and to start to want to understand, to want to be who you are on the inside, to want to use that part of who you are, and what does that mean to be you? What does it mean to be who you are on the inside? And so I sat there, and I see this type of a thing happen even today. I see this type of a thing happen even now. And I'm sitting here in front of you on multiple networks in a way that in the past used to be considered impossible. And I'm speaking to people across multiple countries and multiple places across the world, and I'm sitting here in front of you telling you it's possible. It's amazing the things that one can endure. It's amazing the things that one can go through, and it's amazing how when we use that person inside of who we are, we can start to believe in ourselves. We can start to believe in our ability. We can start to believe in our mentalities. And you see, I'm here on multiple networks communicating with you. You might be on my podcast, or you might be on my YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, Twitter. You might be hearing this message today. If this message is reaching you, leave a comment, leave a like, leave a ability to see how we're creating a community. And so as I continue to grow, as I continue to put this path and this journey, as it continues to write out in front of me, as it continues to ask the question and get down to the test, and to see if it truly is worth it. Okay, are you seeing that for yourselves? Are you seeing that inside of who you are? Are you seeing that inside of your ability and inside of your mentality? And I'm sitting here and I'm asking you that question. So how can we build up our mentalities? How can we build up our skills? How can we build up our beings? How can we build up our vibrations? And so are we inside of who we are? Are we inside of our ability? Are we using that part of ourselves that makes us who we are? You hearing what I'm saying? What is it that makes you you? What is it that drives you to succeed? What is it that brings you to a place where you start to believe in yourself, where You start to believe that you're worth it, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at how, this year has been a place of understanding, and we all go through those times. We have times that are ups and we have our times that are downs, and how do we use those times? How do we use those things that we go through? And it comes from within who we are, and it's inside of ourselves that we seek that place, that we seek that kind of permission to be who we are on the inside, and to overcome challenges in such a way that we start to believe in ourselves. And when we start to believe in our ability, when we start to focus to the place that we are worth it. And so, I see that a lot of people have a lot more than they consider, and they don't realize that they're already blessed to be right where they are. They're already blessed to go through the challenges that they're going through. They're already blessed to focus to the point where they can be who they are. And I'm acknowledging that you will have challenge, you will have things to work on, you will have things that if you want to overcome, you got to go through. And how do we start to embrace that part of ourselves? How do we start to embrace that part of our ability? And so, it isn't going to be for somebody else. It's going to be when you start to be that inside of yourselves. Okay? It's when you start to be that inside of your being. It's when you're really truly believing in yourself and you start believing in your ability. And you enable yourself, but you also disable yourself too. So if we can get beyond the words, if we can get to the place of positive thinking, if we can get to the place of positive ability within ourselves, within our society, within our purpose, then we can start to become a place of motivation. We can do it, my friends. We can create a more beautiful world by focusing into positivity, by allowing the things that are not meant for us to move out of the way, and to be in such a way that who we are on the inside is worth it. And it takes a lot of time to be patient with yourself to that level. It takes a lot of work to go inwards. It takes a lot of work to utilize what you have, to utilize your abilities, to utilize your mentalities, to utilize your focus, your knowledge, and to utilize your discipline. And are you doing that? Are you using your focus in such a way that it's uplifting other people, that they're seeing how focused you are and they're wanting it for themselves, that when they see you focused, they see you in such a way that you have what it takes. And so, I might be sitting here alone by myself today. I might be sitting inside of myself thinking, wow, what is it that I'm going to do? And where is it that I'm going to go? And, how am I going to make it through these kind of challenges? And so I'm sitting here and I'm explaining to you guys that you're worth it, okay? And your challenges are worth it. And then when you find a way to overcome your challenges, when you find a way to be who you are on the inside, when you find a way to not allow how other people talk to you or other people speak to you to affect you, when you find a way to be who you are on the inside, okay, when you find a way to be who you are and to face off against the things that only you can, and it comes from that place that we start to believe that it's possible. Okay, it comes from that place that we start to believe that we can achieve it, that we can overcome it, and we're seeking out that kind of mentality. We seek out that kind of place inside of ourselves, and it comes to a place where we start to write things down, and we start to put ourselves together, and we start to want to use our gifts, and we start to want to use our skills, and we start to want to use our challenges. And so how do we start to do that? You know, how do we start to believe that kind of possibility? How do we start to believe that kind of ability? How do we start to enable our minds? Okay, how do we start to enable our beings? How do we start to give ourselves that kind of time? Give ourselves that kind of energy? You know, some of you might be have just been waiting for this message. You might have just been waiting for, that person to come along to say, it might be the right time for you to take a moment. It might take, it might take you a little bit longer than other people. It might take you, a little bit longer to get there, and it's okay that it does, because it's a place of patience, my friends. When you're willing to be patient with yourself, when you're willing to use what you have inside to overcome your challenges, they are going to be there. You see, when you seek out that person inside of who you are, when you seek out that person inside of your ability, when you're sitting down with who you are on the inside, and you start to see you for you, okay? And this is where we start to grow, and this is where we start to find ourselves, and this is where we start to find our ability, and we start to find our purpose, and we start to find our journey. And so it comes from within. It comes from a place where we look inside for the ability. We look inside for that vibration, and we seek out the person who truly wants to overcome that things that we go through, and it is inside of who we are that we can overcome challenge. You see, when we focus past the challenges, when we focus to the place where we open ourselves up and we start to use our abilities, okay, it's like that is what we are seeking for in ourselves. And and I sit here and I grind on this daily. I grind on this ability within. I grind on this ability to overcome. And I recognize that a lot of other people, say that you're gifted, and that, and it's inside of all of you, though. Gifts lay inside of every single person on the face of the planet. Each of us have that ability to sit down and to use what we have, to use our vibrations, to vibrate in such a way that it uplifts other people, that it uplifts the abilities inside of themselves, and it comes from within who we are. And you see, I sit here today and I look at this and I say, it is possible. Okay, I say, when I put myself to the mind, to the test, is this grind that I'm working on worth it? Sometimes it's not easy. Okay, sometimes it takes a moment to absorb, or to let it flow in, and to let it be a part of it, and to let it be able to use that kind of exercise that we have inside of ourselves called focusing. Okay, you got to use it like a muscle. You got to start to put it in front of yourself to where you are focused, where you can allow the things that are meant for you to flow out of the way, that you can believe in yourself even when other people don't believe in you. And I'm doing that today. I'm sitting here right now. I'm looking at this vibration. I'm looking at this ability inside of itself, and I'm seeking out that kind of community, and I'm creating that kind of community for us all to be a part of it. And so let's go ahead and embrace positivity. Let's go ahead and embrace the Most High God. Let's go ahead and embrace that ability inside of ourselves, that we are worth it. Okay, that we can utilize what we have, that we can utilize our abilities, that we can utilize our mentalities. And how can we go inwards? You see, when we get inside of ourselves, when we sit down inside of our beings, when we start using our energy, we start flowing with our energy, we start moving with our energy, when we start using that part of ourselves, when we start to get inwards, when we truly start to get down with the challenges that we're facing off against today. What are those challenges? What are those emotions that hold you back? What are those fears that stop you from succeeding? What are those pains that could become your teachers? How do you see them? How do you reflect with them? How do you master them? Have you given yourself the time to have the patience with yourself to decompress them, to study them, and to be that kind of student in your life, to use your life as a lessons, to use your life as a path, to use your life as the journey that you're on? And so, are we on our journey? Are we truly on our journey? Are we truly utilizing what we have inside? Are we able to manifest from within who we are? Are we able to manifest from within our beings? Are we able to utilize our mentality and utilize our focus and to utilize our knowledge inside of ourselves, that we can start to believe in ourselves, that we can start to have a joy to be inside of who we are and to go through the things that we go through on a daily basis? And I'm sitting here today in front of you all. I'm sitting here asking you the same questions. I'm asking you if you believe in yourselves, if you are able to hear what I'm saying with a higher level of vibration, a higher level of self-esteem, with an ability inside of oneself, with a stamina to be yourself, to go through your journey, to be on your path, to utilize your gifts, to utilize your challenges. And are you seeing it for yourself today? Are you seeing it inside of who you are? And what is it that you are? What is it that makes you you? What is it that drives you to believe in yourselves, to believe that you're worth it? And so I'm sitting here and I'm grinding, and I'm sitting down and I'm getting ready to do some meditation today. I'm getting ready to sit inside and to start to study and to sit down and start to reflect and to start to utilize that kind of knowledge within. The person inside is what it's about. When we start to ask the questions inside of ourselves, we start to ask the question inside of our being. We start to ask the question inside of our purpose. When our journey starts to have a place, when it starts to have a understanding that you can do it, my friends, that you can overcome it, that you're worth it. And so, how do we sit down at that level? How do we sit inside of ourselves and start to vibrate from within that being? You see, we can do that. We can truly be who we are on the inside, and it is worth it. You see, you are worth it. Your challenges are worth it. When you decompress those knowledge that's inside of yourself, you start to light up in this world. When you start to decompress the knowledge that's inside of yourself, you start to reflect outwards. You start to use that person that you are inside. You start to use that beauty inside of your being. And that might be the reason why they say that is where the biggest beast lays, inside of ourselves, because we have to let the things on the outside die for us to truly be who we are on the inside. And so, how do we start to do it? How do we start to become it? How do we start to manifest from within? How do we start to manifest within our being? How do we start to manifest within our purpose? And so, are we focusing to that level? So let's go ahead and take a look at some other parts of this. Let's go ahead and start to examine what it means to be a student in our lives, to be a student inside of ourselves, you know. How do you start to do that, my friends? How do you start to have that kind of patience where you can connect your breath with yourself when your inwards and your outwards breath become connected? You know, I I I see you all. I see the things that you go through. I see the challenges. I see the vibration. I see the understanding and the purpose and the journeys that we're on, and I see these places that we're seeking out from within ourselves, you know, and I see it and I understand that it's not easy. I understand that a lot of the things that we go through, they're there to test us, that they're there to ask us if it's possible, if what we do, if what we want to become, if what we want to overcome is there for you. And, you know, I'm sitting here in front of you and I'm asking you the same question. Do you believe in yourselves? Do you believe in your ability? Do you believe that you have what it takes to overcome your challenges? And so, can we become that person inside? Can we light up from that place? Can we allow that person inside of who we are to utilize that part of our being, to utilize that part of our ability? And so I'm sitting here and I seek to teach, to understand, to just sit down with you for a minute and to start to ask you the questions that, you know, possibly somebody else might not have. You know, ask you the questions, you know, are you asking yourself the question, is what I'm doing today, is it motivation? Is it meditation? Is it inspiration? You know, am I putting myself in a place where my vibration is coming out? Am I putting myself in a place where my ability is coming from within me, where I use my gifts, where I use my talents, where you use your gifts, where you use your talents, where your focus and your knowledge and your student inside of yourself blaze. You know, this is my second video of the day, and I want you to become inspired by your discipline. I want you to become inspired by the person that you are inside, and I want you to be so disciplined that other people see that you're worth it. I want them to see that your abilities are worth it, that it isn't about them, it's about you and your journey. It isn't about them, it's about you and your path. It isn't about them, it's about when you start to see that you can believe in yourselves. And so I just want to leave that with you and just say blessings to you all as I close here. I just want to say blessings, blessings, blessings. As always, namaste.